What's up, people? I'm back. Today, I'm going to be talking about adding secondary tools to help defend yourself in a defense scenario, end of the world type of scenario. And this is, in the event that, the world ends, ammo runs out. What do you do? And one of the things I always stress upon people is always develop skills in other resources and other avenues outside of firearm training. You need to be well diverse in other techniques and skills to help get you through a survival situation, especially when ammo is limited and all you got is either your hands or trusty crossbow. Now, I am no expert in archery. I've been learning it for the past maybe 3 years, so I'm pretty efficient. I am not skilled to that degree, but I'm good enough to get the job done if I have to. This is my trusty crossbow. This is a Barnett XRT whitetail. I've had it forever, for the most part. It has a red dot on it. I love it. It's served me well. I do a lot of practice with it, to enhance my skills with it to become more efficient. And I also have this right here. This is my trusty compound bow. It is not a name brand. Something I bought off Amazon. A Sandili, whatever it is. I'll put the name in the description. Anyway, it's the Sand Dragon X8. I've had it for a while. This is what they consider to be an entry-level compound bow. But, for what I use it for, it's pretty handy. It has up to 70-pound drawstring, which is great. I love it. Like I said, I'm not trying to invest, $500 into a compound bow that is really, for me, only being used for if a shit hit the fan scenario, when ammo runs out and all you got is what I consider to be reusable weaponry. Then that's what these will go for. I practice with them frequently, but like I said, this combo was no way top of the line, but it serves its purpose. My crossbow is pretty much, some people say it's entry level, but I've seen worse. But it works out good. But as I was saying, I am no expert in archery. I am a novelist at best. So the information I'm sharing with you is the information that's been shared with me. And I always tell people, when you're getting into prepping and preparing yourself for, whatever scenario, you want to develop skills in other areas outside of, firearm training. Whether it be archery, martial arts, hand-to-hand combat, those type of things you want to be skilled in as well. You don't have to be a pro, but you have to know enough to help you get through whatever scenario that may come your way. And I always recommend to people, you pick up something else to help offset in case. And I love archery. It takes a certain skill level to fire a bow, whether it be a crossbow or compound bow, or even a longbow. A longbow is, longer, it's one string. Compound bows, they have multiple strings. It has a stronger pound pull rate than a standard longbow. Longbows are practical, and you can get different kinds that can be broken down and tucked away. Compound bows this is, pretty standard size. They do make them smaller. My crossbow is pretty big. They do make smaller pistol fire crossbows with smaller bolts than the ones that use the standard bolts for the crossbow. But they are efficient, especially in hunting. A lot of people use it for hunting. It's great for a hunting tool when you don't want to use ammo. Compound bow, crossbow, longbow. very effective in that regards. And that's one of the things you want to develop skills in, because, you know, the world goes south and you out there foraging for food in the wild, ammo is limited. You want to be able to have some type of secondary weapon source available to you. Even I even have a slingshot. Let me show you that. All right, so this is my slingshot. This is my slingshot. Put it on like that. Fire. And what's great about slingshots, these are great for hunting small game. And you can use, you know, finding rocks, pebbles, stones to utilize to help to find, hunt small game. These are great for that. And this is something that people need to consider in their bug out survival situation, especially adding it to your gear and becoming, efficient with it. Because, slingshots is, these are very practical. They're small, they fit, they fold up pretty nice. They fit right into your bug out bag, and you're good to go. And you have another option to help you hunt small game. And this is, this is great. I love these. And this is one of the things that, I always recommended people to getting into, because, it's a secondary option, because you don't want to always rely on your firearm. You want to be able to rely on other secondary weapons to defend yourself, or just to help hunt small game, whether it be, little squirrels, little rabbits, things like that. Slingshots are great for that, as well as, like I said, getting a crossbow, getting a compound bow. Now, these are, like I said, it's great to get into. The disadvantages to utilizing a crossbow as a primary defense source is it takes a long time to load. You really gotta put it in, step, draw. They do have, I don't have it on mine, but do have a crank on the back where you can install on most crossbows. A crank will help you crank it a little bit faster, but it takes time. So it's pretty much a, if you're trying to use this for defense purposes, you got one shot and you better hope it counts. So that's one of the disadvantages to that, the reload time. Even with the compound bow, it takes a little longer, not as long as the crossbow to load. You can load this a little bit quicker, and they do, and I've seen some where they have, automatic feeder for the compound bows, which is great. But once again, it's not really, I wouldn't use this as a primary self-defense weapon. This is more so definitely for hunting, definitely in survival situation, and you need something other than a firearm. If you don't have one, or, whatever the situation may be, you can't obtain one, you definitely want to look to something like this as far as some type of survival tool to add to your gear. Longbows are great. They have different ones that collapse. I don't have one, unfortunately. This is the only two that I have, but they are great. They can collapse. You can collapse and put away. They're bulky. These are not something that you can hide inconspicuously in your bug out bag. People are going to see these, into the world, and you walk around. People are going to see them, so they will be noticeable. So that's another, downside to them. But they are great to have. They are great to learn how to utilize these, because, like I said, you never know. In every situation, you never know. You definitely want to consider adding some type of secondary tool, like a crossbow, like a compound bow, a slingshot. Definitely a slingshot. I recommend getting a slingshot and adding that to your gear ASAP. They're inexpensive. I think that one costs maybe $50, and it's a great one. I like it. And this is let me see which brand this is real quick. This is the King Rat slingshot. So this is the King Rat slingshot. So it's a great slingshot. You definitely want to consider this. You definitely want to add something like this to your bug out. Like I said, great for hunting small game, things like that. Not really something you use for defense unless, you get the right, things, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it's definitely something utilized for hunting small game in survivable situation, things like that. So that's it. once again, I am no expert in these tools. I'm learning every day to become more efficient with these, but these are my backup sources that I think everyone should consider investing in. This is not, they're not cheap, but you know, what is? And if you're in survival mode, you definitely want to have another option in case you have an issue with firearms, you can't obtain a firearm. These are the next best thing for survival. When a survival situation, world's coming to an end, you need something. And these right here, these are just as great. You know, so I recommend getting trained, going to there's a couple of indoor archeries that I frequent to help practice. Then you can, you know, just go to the park. Pick up one. You can start small. Like I said, this one I picked up, like I said, a while ago, is probably under $300, which is a great starter compound bow. Just to get you started, and then if you become more efficient, you obviously buy a more expensive one. It's up to you, but this is perfect for me. I don't, like I said, I only use it to practice with and to do some small game hunting, nothing major, but these are my backup sources in case something happens. I need something to help defend myself, or, you know, like I said, I'm in survival mode. I need to scavenge some food. These are great options right here. So that's the video. You guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, don't forget, check us out at wecan'twesurvive.com. Email wecan'twesurvive@gmail.com. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.